when you communicate with people, it's important that they trust and believe what you are saying. One of the easiest and most effective ways to get people to trust and believe what you're saying is through the use of quotes. So sit down and stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to share with you exactly how to use quotes to make your statements more believable and have more credibility. Hey guys, my name is Paul Macetta, and I am a researcher in the field of human communication. So if you like learning about things like influence, persuasion, and human communication, then go ahead and consider subscribing. So what I'm going to share with you today is really a hypnotic language pattern that is based off of using quotes to support your point of view when communicating with someone else. So what is this? Why is it important? And when do you want to use it? Well, so like I said, all you're really doing is borrowing the credibility from someone else by quoting something that they said that supports whatever it is that you are saying. And so why this is important is because credibility is a very, very important factor when it comes to influence and persuading other people. You see, I tell people all the time, at its core, influence and persuasion really involves some level of change. We are asking our listener to change their mind, to change their belief, to change their opinion on something. And human beings, generally speaking, do not like change. We like things to stay the same. We like predictability. We like consistency. And so, generally speaking, change is going to create resistance. Well, one of the ways to overcome resistance is to show the other person that the change that you are asking them to make is actually in their best interest. And one of the ways to show them that is through credibility. So when you can instill credibility and back your statements with credibility, that person begins to feel like, okay, what you're saying makes sense, and I can see why this would be beneficial to me. You're getting them to accept the fact that what you are saying is true, and credibility supports truth. Well, one of the most effective ways to build credibility is to quote a credible person that person is aware of to support your statement. So, for example, I teach people about metaphors. So metaphors are extremely powerful in communication because what they enable you to do is create a visual representation of the point that you are trying to make in the mind of your listener. And so when I teach people about metaphors, I always give the example of Steve Jobs when he unveiled the first iPod. And so what he did was, instead of talking about the technical specifications of the device and the memory and how fast it is and the battery life, he just held up the iPod and said, 1,000 songs in your pocket. A very simple but powerful metaphor that instantly paints the picture of the benefit that the customer is going to experience. And so when I give that example and I talk about how authority figures and powerful communicators use metaphors all the time, well, what this does is it creates credibility in the mind of the listener about metaphors. It makes them think, well, if Steve Jobs uses metaphors all the time, metaphors must be very important. Another way to do this on a very simple level is to just say something like, a wise person once said, persistence is the key to success. Or you could say something even more specific, like Albert Einstein once said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Now, here's how you take this really to the next level and amplify it. When you cite and quote a person that your listener holds in a very high regard or sees as an authority or an expert in that particular field, this becomes even way more powerful. So like in the example that I just gave you, if I was speaking to someone whose extremely intelligent and knows a lot about quantum physics and science and things like that, well, I would quote somebody like Einstein to reinforce the point that I'm trying to make. If I was speaking to someone who has a wide, vast knowledge when it comes to politics, I would quote something that Abraham Lincoln may have said or Ronald Reagan may have said. I would always make sure that I am quoting a politician that is on the same side as that person. So, for example, if I'm talking to a conservative or a Republican, I'm going to quote a conservative or a Republican. If I'm speaking to a Democrat or a liberal, I'm going to quote a Democrat or a liberal. You have to be careful with this, because if you quote somebody that they do not hold in high regard or see as a credible source, it will completely destroy the credibility that you are trying to make. So guys, if you found this useful, if you've used this before, let me know. Leave a comment below. And if you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing and hit that bell notification so you get updated when I release more videos like this.